Hi, welcome back to 3 poses a day for 30 days, relaxing the pelvic floor. I'm Tracy, and today's series will be really fun. Instead of doing cat-cow, we will do something that's a little modified version of that with pelvic tilts. We are going to work on a little bit of a yogi squat, and you most definitely want a yoga block for that. And then last will be child's pose. So if you want a blanket to kneel on, you'll want to grab that as well. Pause the video, grab your gear, and then we'll get started. All right, first up, let's get into how you would normally set up for cat-cow. So I invite you to come to all fours. The bases of your hands should be directly under the shoulders. Shoulders are relaxed. Nice straight spine, as if you're coming into table. And the knees and feet are hip distance apart. Now what we will do is focus on the movement of the hips and the pelvis, which is tied to the hips. The way this will work, instead of doing cat-cow, when you're arching the back and then you're coming all the way down, we're going to keep the upper back straight, nice and level, and focus just on the movement of the hips. Nice gentle stretch. So the hips stay above the knees, and you're going to tuck the tailbone under, and then untuck the tailbone and bring the tailbone as if it's pulling toward the back of the head. So again, we're tucking the tailbone under, nice and slow with the motion, and then we untuck the tailbone, bringing it toward the back of the head. And we'll tie this to breath. Now, without dropping your rib cage, remember the upper back stays nice and solid, nice and firm, straight. We're going to inhale, filling that belly with air, expanding the rib cage as the tailbone comes back. And exhale from the bottom of the belly first. We rotate the tailbone under. So see, as I'm doing this, the hips are constantly above the knees. The knees are at 90 degrees. The neck is nice and relaxed. So we'll go nice and slow. We'll do a set of 6, and we will start with a deep inhale. Don't forget, your belly expands every time you're inhaling. All right, here we go. This will be fun. Inhale, belly expands, tailbone comes back. And exhale, tuck the tailbone under. Inhale, nice and relaxed, bring the tailbone back. And exhale, tuck under. Relaxing the pelvic floor the entire time. We have 4 more sets. Tie it to your own breath pace. Remember the belly. And let's do one more set. Inhaling back, pressing the belly all the way down to the pelvic floor. Exhale, rotate those hips, tuck back under. And now we'll come back into table. Beautiful. All right, next up is a yogi squat. And there are kind of mixed feelings on doing this. And I will explain why. All right, you want to block, probably on the tallest height. But again, it depends on your body and how the dynamics work. So we will put the block under the bottom, come onto the balls of the feet as we rest the tailbone on the block. As we rest the front of your sits bones on the block. And then we can come up, adjust the feet how you need to. Most likely they won't be completely flat, and that's okay. So the knees are roughly pointed 45 degrees. You're on the balls of the feet, or even flat-footed if you're flexible. Palms come together, and the elbows can actually be used to help push the legs outward. Now, A few things with the yogi squat. If you roll your tailbone underneath it, tuck it under, and round that lower spine, your pelvis is no longer in neutral, and you're probably not doing it very much good. So the cue here is to untuck the tailbone, making sure you're maintaining a nice natural curve in the lumbar spine, nice straight natural back, and I'm in front of the sits bones to accomplish this. So again, if I'm sitting behind the sits bones, the lower back rounds, which is not what we want. So I'm going to force myself to push the booty back, tailbone comes toward the back of the head, and I'm sitting on front of the sits bones. Don't shrug the shoulders, nice and relaxed. And you should feel a nice deep stretch on the inner thighs. All right, remember, front of the sits bones. I know it's a broken record, but for yogi squat, it's super, super important that you're mindful of where you are with the pelvis position here. Front of the sits bones, tailbones pulling back, palms together. Beautiful. We're here for 6 breaths. Don't forget to move the belly. Let's take one more big breath together. Long exhale. And then we'll release out of this stretch, coming onto our knees for child's pose. Now with child's pose, probably the easiest way, the best way I've found to relax the pelvic floor in child's pose is to lay on a bolster or a stack of pillows to make sure the spine stays nice and straight. I don't have a bolster, well, let's rephrase. I do have a bolster, but I have a feeling that most of the people watching this video won't. So we're just going to do a standard version of child's pose with active arms. So you might want to grab a block or a blanket or a pillow, and we will come onto the knees, extending the knees out roughly the distance of your yoga mat. Pull the tailbone back as you come back with the hips, and then the arms extend straight out. And you can rest the forehead on a block on the ground, just nice and relaxed. Now, if you find that your tailbone is starting to tuck underneath, which is not what we want, you can grab some props, put them on your heels, maybe even bring the knees closer together if you need to. And then extend out. So the tailbone's constantly pulling toward the back of the head. Now for me, if I come all the way down, I tend to round the back, which is not what we want. So we can grab yoga blocks, extend out on the blocks, and this will raise the spine, allowing you to keep a more neutral position. You could also use the blocks to rest the forehead. Again, nice straight back, meaning a natural curve in the spine, especially the lumbar spine. So find what works for you. We're only here for 6 breaths. So it's okay if you're active in this posture and not completely relaxed. And we'll be here, nice deep belly breaths for 6 breaths. Really work on bringing that tailbone toward the back of the head. One more big inhale. Long exhale. One more breath in. And on the exhale, we'll come back to a seated position as we close our practice today. So there you have it for day 10. Tomorrow, of course, day 11. I'll see you there. I'm wishing you well. Namaste.